So you have so much vying for your time. Why have you dedicated your attention to the agency advisory board?
I think it's basically for the fairly obvious reason, the online paid advertising environment is still underutilised and underdeployed by brand advertisers, and I was just interested. I mean, we're all interested to be more expert in why and to try and help produce solutions to address that. I suppose it's like it's a fairly, well, it's a very well known challenge, but it's quite an interesting conundrum because there are so many different facets playing into it. So I thought, well, it's an important issue on behalf of our clients, and it's an interesting one. And also, there's it's a good group of people. It's a very interesting group of people. The IAB has pulled together lots of people from different backgrounds and with different perspectives. So there's a selfish just, oh, it's interesting and you learn aspect to it as well. That's the honest extra bit.
That's cool. But so Rising Stars, in part, came from the agency advisory board.
Yes, it did, yeah.
What opportunities do the selected Rising Stars ad formats open up in terms of creativity in the community?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the units, I see the units, the new units, the Rising Star units as being, I don't know, that sort of beginning of a path that probably should have begun a little way back. You know, it's been a long time since the original standard units were introduced, and I think there needs to be a more ongoing, organic evolution and development process, given how much things change at speed in this space. But I mean, some of the advantages are fairly straightforward. I think. I mean, fairly not straightforward necessarily, but obvious. You know, the new units, they provide a better creative canvas, partly just from scale. There's more space and depth to create experiences and to create engagements that, I mean, are just like really compelling and rich and interesting and useful. Yeah, so it's partly just a sheer scale thing and a depth thing, and then part of the depth is obviously the functionalities, that there is much richer functionality built into many of them. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, we use the word canvas a lot. It's like a bigger canvas, and it's like a broader palette of paints to paint with, I guess. So yeah, creative people are going to enjoy that more, use it better, and I think come up with solutions in the context of these new units that therefore produce better results, and therefore clients are more happy with. So it should be a virtuous circle. I mean, that's the theory anyway. It certainly feels like a good beginning to that.
You say it's the beginning. So what do you think should come next?
Well, I don't know really. I mean, I think when we were, I wasn't actually on the judging panel of the Rising Stars, but I think when I looked at some of the finalists and then the ultimate winners, I think the thing that can come next is slightly more radical innovation. I felt like a lot of the winners were very good kind of solid solutions as opposed to very startling, radical, new forms and new units. So I think what I'd like to see next is sort of new innovations that I wouldn't be able to predict instantly and quickly, so that, as I say, forms that you don't want all the standard units to be like this, but I think if there was a little bit more radical innovation in the mix as well, that might be good. So I think that's what I'd be hoping for as we move forward, as well as constant optimization and constant, just deepening, I think, of the formats as we go on.
So what do you see other than the limited formats of the previous banners?
Yeah.
And the ad formats. What do you see as other big challenges to producing really just great brand advertising? And what should continue to happen to solve that?
I think in a way that the challenges are fairly well documented. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know, as I said at the beginning, like they're very multifaceted. So there's all sorts of challenges, and some of them are endemic to the medium, and some of them have grown up from publisher behaviour, and some of them are agency side limitations or client side limitations. So many, we know about the measurement challenges, the fact that the measurements aren't consistent, that they don't necessarily provide the metrics that brand advertisers and brand marketers really want, and obviously the new initiative from the ANA, the 4As and the IAB. I mean, that should be, if it works well, a great step towards that. So we know about the measurement challenges. There's clearly an environmental challenge. I mean, if you're thinking on behalf of a brand marketer, the cluttered, oversupplied kind of jumbled environment of a lot of interactive environments is not at all ideal. So you get that. There's a lot of sort of supply side issues. There's an issue of the sales force not being expert enough. There's not enough customization of solutions. But on the agency side as well, like we're not always good enough at knowing the possibilities that do exist in the canvases at the moment. We're not necessarily good enough at exploiting them to the full. I think you get that classic chicken and egg situation of there aren't enough great creative solutions in the online paid media, online display, particularly online display space and that means that you don't necessarily attract the best creative talent to want to do things, and it all just gets a bit circular. So as I say, yeah, it is very rounded, and I think, unfortunately, therefore, there isn't like some silver bullet solution. So you're looking at, a series of initiatives. I mean, I think it is admirable what the IAB does as a result. It's sort of coming at these challenges from all the different angles. Like we've got the measurement initiative now. We've had the Rising Stars. There should be I'm sure there'll be new waves of Rising Stars. There's just lots of stuff, and it's not just an IAB thing. I mean, obviously, as I say, there needs to be agency side and client side. Actually, the brand owners with the budgets to spend, a lot of these missing dollars when people talk about the gap between time spent by consumers in online channels and media spent in those channels. I mean, a lot of that gap is coming from big budget advertisers not deploying a big enough percentage of their budgets online, and some of that is their failure to really address the issue and to allocate the funds right. They can be very siloed, or they can be ignorant of the possibilities, or themselves not looking for the right metrics. So as I say, I think unfortunately it's one of those painful, not black or white but grey, multifaceted challenges, and therefore the solution is complex and multifaceted and everything. So
what's a digital marketing campaign in a branded campaign that you've seen that's impacted you emotionally?
Yeah.
Happy or sad?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's really difficult to answer that question. That's part of the problem. You'll be getting a lot of people, I'm sure, saying what I say, which is I can't think of that many examples, especially when you frame the question as emotional impact.
I mean, it could be laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand it can be an entertainment or something like that. But the whole point about this is that, well, the examples you start to come up with are basically often online use of video examples. So people, I can remember lots of, ideas that come around that come to you, but they're kind of just like online distributed film that doesn't even some of them exclusively exist online. But I don't know. I loved the Tipex stuff this year. That was like a lovely YouTube thing. But it's sort of, yeah, I mean, so I suppose that was genuinely interactive, so that could at least only exist in that space. I mean, I really liked that, and I thought that was, yeah, just really good cheering and upbeat case of a slightly cliched one, but I think that it was great. And then, I'm proud of some of the stuff we've done. We did what I thought was hilarious Axe online piece this year called Cleaned Your Balls, which was about like a straight-faced, totally straight-faced sell of the Axe detailer, which does clean balls. I
got that sense.
Yeah, exactly. And it was great. And obviously, and our competitor, obviously the stuff that Old Spice did was just fantastic. But you can see, and obviously that was responsive to interactive feedback. So, but it's much harder to think of the advertising campaigns within paid, media in a display sense rather than the video component of it. Then, if you were asking me the same question, I'd have an easier time in an offline world coming up with the emotionally compelling system. That's one of the many things that needs to be solved. Because I think when I talked a lot today about the tablet apps advertising experience, and there are, obviously it's all very embryonic and new, and I don't mean the iAds so much, although some of the iAds were great. They have been great, those early iAds. Just the norm of the online advertising experience in the app environment just seems to be much more compelling and clean and enjoyable. Maybe still not as emotionally resonant as possible, but at least it seems to be going in a better direction. So hopefully that'll hold and we'll move towards it more in the sort of browser-based online world.